Data gathering techniques for quantitative and qualitative approach. Good day everyone, we're Group 5 and our topic is data gathering techniques, one of the most practical and important parts of research. When we talk about data gathering, we're basically answering this question. How will I collect the information I need to prove or test my research idea? Again, how will I collect the information I need to prove or test my research idea? Today, we're not just defining each method. We'll help you understand how each technique works, when to use it, and how it connects to your own research projects. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to choose the best data gathering method for your study, know the difference between quantitative and qualitative approaches, and avoid common beginner mistakes in collecting data. Next slide. Introduction. What is data gathering? Let's start simple. Data gathering means collecting information to answer your research question. Without data, your research is just an opinion. But with properly gathered data, your research becomes evidence-based and credible. There are two main ways to gather data. First is to gather a quantitative data. It focuses on numbers and measurements. Example, how many students spend more than 3 hours on social media daily? This involves numbers, not just open-ended questions. However, for qualitative data, it focuses on meanings, opinions, and experiences. For example, you can ask questions, why do students use social media that long? What do they feel about it? As you can see, these questions are open-ended questions, and it is not quantifiable, or the answers cannot be expressed in numbers. This is why it's called qualitative data. Now think of it this way. Quantitative data tells you what is happening, while qualitative tells you why it's happening. Both are necessary for complete understanding. For the next slide, let's explore the importance of data gathering. Now, why is data gathering important? Because it ensures accuracy, credibility, and reliability. If your data are wrong or incomplete, even a well-written paper loses its value. Imagine this. You're studying student stress, but your data only come from your 3 close friends. That's not representative, and your conclusion might be biased. That's why researchers design their data collection carefully. Here's the key idea. A strong data equals a strong research foundation. Now, have you ever answered a survey or interview for a class project? That's part of someone's data gathering process. Now that we know what data gathering is and why it's important, let us explore the 5 major techniques, how they work, and when to use them. For the first technique, let's explore the slide number 4, interview. Now, an interview is a conversation where you ask people questions to get specific information or insights. There are 2 main versions. For quantitative interview, this looks like one is structured. Everyone gets the same set of questions in the same order. It's good for collecting facts or statistics. For example, interviewing 100 students using identical questions about their study habits. Next is qualitative interview. Now this one is semi-structured or conversational. It focuses on personal experiences, emotions, and reasons behind behaviors. For example, interviewing teachers about their struggles during online classes. If you want depth and personal detail, use interviews. Now, if you want consistency across many respondents, use structured questions. Now, avoid leading questions like, you enjoyed online learning, right? That influences answers. Always keep questions neutral. According to research by Vail, 2007, interviews reveal lived experiences, real human stories behind the data. If your research is about motivation, which type of interview will fit better? Structured or conversational? Next, let's go to slide number 5. Focused Group Discussion or FGD. Now, focused group discussion or FGD is like an interview, but with a small group, with usually 6 to 10 people. This is useful when you want to see how people interact and agree or disagree about a topic. For a quantitative FGD, you use fixed questions. For example, discussing customer satisfaction using a uniform guide of questions. Next is qualitative FGD. What does it look like? It's a more open and flexible set of questions, but with a group of people, because it's FGD. For example, asking community members what they think causes poor waste management. Now, use FGDs when you want to capture group opinions, community trends, or social behaviors. As Morgan of 1997 explained, FGDs show shared meanings, what people agree on, and what they debate about. A common mistake is letting one participant dominate the discussion. Because remember, it's a group discussion. So as the researcher, you guide politely. You're not there to argue, but just to listen and take note of themes or recurring themes. If your study is about peer pressure, do you think an FGD could show group influence? Why or why not? Next slide, observation. Our third technique is observation, where the researcher collects data by watching behaviors. For a quantitative observation, it looks like this. It is focused on things that can be measured or counted. For example, counting how many times students raise their hands during class. For a qualitative observation, however, this focuses on patterns and meanings. For example, watching how shy and confident students behave in group tasks. Now, use observation when behavior speaks louder than words, especially in classroom or workplace settings. According to Cowlich of 2005, observation captures natural behavior, not just what people claim to do. A common mistake is interfering with what you're observing. If you join a classroom observation, avoid changing how people act just because they notice you. If you were studying student participation, what would you count or look for in your observation checklist? Let's go for slide number 7, survey questionnaire. The fourth and probably the most familiar technique is the survey questionnaire. This is ideal when you need data from a large group of people quickly. For a quantitative survey, it looks like this. It uses closed-ended questions like multiple choice, yes or no, or rating scales. For example, rate your satisfaction from 1 to 5. It's great for statistical analysis. But for qualitative survey, it looks like this. It uses open-ended questions like, what do you think about the quality of this specific product? For example, describe your experience using online learning platforms. Use surveys when you need broad data from many respondents. According to Fowler 2014, surveys are the best way to gather standardized information from large groups. The common mistakes include asking too many confusing questions, using biased wording, or forgetting to pilot test your questionnaire before sending it out. Now raise your hand if you've answered a Google Form survey. That's an example of a quantitative data collection. Let's go for slide 8, document analysis. Our final method is document analysis, which means using existing materials, not interviews or surveys. For example, reports, journals, letters, photos, or even school records. These are all documents used in document analysis. What is quantitative document analysis? It counts patterns or trends in existing data. For example, analyzing attendance records or exam results. However, a qualitative document analysis looks like this. It interprets the meaning behind texts or images. For example, reading students' reflective journals to identify learning struggles. Use this when you want to analyze what's already written instead of gathering new data. According to Bowen of 2009, a document analysis is great for exploring themes without requiring live participants. A common mistake is copying documents without proper citation or permission. Always respect confidentiality. In your own research, do you think you'll use documents or actual participants? And why? Let's go for slide number 9, summary. Let's summarize before we close. Quantitative methods focus on measurement and numbers. Qualitative methods focus on meaning and understanding. Both are essential for reliable and complete research. When we combine them, we see the whole picture, like using both eyes to see clearly. One gives us data we can measure, the other gives us data we can feel and interpret. Think of them as two eyes of research, one for measurement, one for understanding. Let's go for slide number 10, conclusion. To wrap up, data gathering is the heart of research, the bridge between your ideas and the evidence that supports them. Each method, whether interview, FGD, observation, survey, or document analysis, is a tool for finding truth. The key here is to choose wisely based on your research question or research problem. Now, if your question asks how many, go quantitative. If it asks why or how, go qualitative. If it needs both, then combine them. That's called mixed methods. Finally, let us remember that good research isn't just about writing. It's about gathering data that speaks honestly. Thank you very much, and we hope this helps you prepare for your own research journey.